I was gonna say there's gonna be 3D glasses or something.
I did not get the glasses memo. I don't have anything readily available.
Memo. Wear glasses today. No excuse. All right. We were live, but luckily no one's watching, so it doesn't matter. Oh, we've got some now. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's edition of Dig a Little Deeper, the show in which we take an attraction and we dig a little deeper. So we're going to do that today with Avatar Flight of Passage. These are reading glasses. I can't see a thing in them. We're going to do that today with Avatar Flight of Passage, one of the newest attractions in Walt Disney World, and some would even say the greatest attraction in Disney World. But we'll talk about that a little bit later. Sadly, my wife, Rebecca, is not a part of the panel today. She's just a tiny bit under the weather. Luckily, we've got someone who can, I wouldn't say fill her shoes, but at least take up a square on the screen. And that would be Tony. Welcome to Dig a Little Deeper, Tony.
Hi, guys. Welcome. Glad to be here.
What is your normal role within Laughing Place?
I am the secondary, well, maybe third. I don't know. There's three of us out here. Bottom of the totem pole for the Florida correspondents. And then the cynic nerd, I think, is also another title I might have.
We'll give you that title.
Okay.
And our regular other panelist in the bottom right corner of your screen is the one, the only, Shelley.
Hey, everybody. I can't help myself.
What is you don't actually have an official role within Laughing Place, so I can't actually.
I'm Tiger Longer.
You're what?
Tiger Longer.
I don't
usually if sometimes when Jeremiah does his lives, I'm like beep, 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 in the background. That's usually my role.
And speaking of, above Shelley, to my, man, this is so hard to do in a mirror, to my left is Jeremiah.
Hi, guys.
And his official role is official correspondent of the Osceola County portions of Walt Disney World that end in W. So.
Is that above or below the water fountain correspondent?
Oh, that is a definite demotion.
That's a position we have? Or is it drinking fountains?
No, that was his former position. Yeah.
But like drinking fountains or like water features? Like
drinking fountains.
Okay.
Don't worry. We'll talk about drinking fountains.
There is no way. There is no way he's good enough to cover water features. No, he's drinking fountain. By the way, for those of you who think you have seen Tony before, you have. There he is.
One Jurassic Park reference.
This is terrible of hiding him. Is he indistinguishable, especially with his glasses on today?
I almost got glasses without the bottom part, just like that. But then I realized all of that would just coming at me. So I opted to get full frames.
So we are very thrilled he's taken a break from his not filming schedule for the next movie and
Dominion next year. See me in it.
Thank you, Tony. All right, today's attraction is Avatar Flight of Passage, as we learned just before the show. No colon, no hyphen, just Avatar space Flight of Passage. I will say before we begin, I've never ridden this ride, so expect me to be quiet this show. I'd love to ride it, but it does have certain, what's the word? Constrictions that keep me from boarding, so I've not had
dimensional limitations. I think is the operational
dimensional limitations, and as we know, I have many dimensions to myself that limit me from riding. So, Tony, what is your experience? Are you a big fan of this attraction?
Yes. I like it. I like it. Again, it's not 6 hours great. I've really enjoyed going to Animal Kingdom lately when I can get on that ride in 15 to 20 minutes. And that's fantastic. But to me, it's just a much more intense Soarin.
No, Tony, it's in a building, not in a tent.
Jeremiah, your turn, since you apparently differ in opinion. What do you think of this one?
I actually love it. Before Rise of the Resistance and before Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, I had a chance to talk with Benjamin. We call him Benji around here. And we were talking about the best attractions. I said that Flight of Passage was probably one of the best attractions. His response was, well, you've not gone on Mission Breakout yet. And yeah, that definitely took over the top spot for a little while. But I do love it. It's probably I would say that it's the top 3 attractions here at Walt Disney World. If we're going to start ranking things.
No, you're wrong about that. Shelley?
I really like Avatar Flight of Passage. I agree with Tony. I don't think I'd wait 6 hours. I'd probably like top out at an hour.
Yeah.
But I like that an hour would be a solid wait because there's so much to do in the queue that I would feel like I did enough of the queue to be like, yeah, that queue is like swell. And then get on and be like, okay, this is cool.
Did you say swell?
I did say swell.
Thank you, Doobie. I was going to call her out.
Swell.
All of the like, science and optical illusions and everything in the queue in the lab scene, fantastic. Like the little behind the curtain, like all the magnets and sound waves and everything like that. That's worth the queue part, I think. Although parts of the queue remind me of a rainforest cafe. So,
I mean, you're not wrong on that. Like, it definitely does give off some rainforest cafe vibes.
Do you mean that as a compliment?
Volcano.
Speaking of the queue, I don't know. I need to do the queue just so I can experience this. This looks like the coolest thing in the world to me. And having seen the movie, it's cool when you see it in person.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is. It's really. I think the first time I saw it, I just like sat there and I was like, "What?" Like, because it just everything is just moving so lovely and it's fluidly, if you will. And it's just one of those moments where your jaw just hits the ground because you're just like, all right, we went there. Can I share a piece of
trivia about that?
Yeah, let's go.
So I did a walkthrough before it opened, and I was told that only has 6 points of animation. So it moves so well because it's in the water and everything, but only 6 parts of it actually move.
Really?
And that made it more cool to me, cooler, as it were, to me. Just the fact that it's got that little bit, but it looks like it's constantly just like moving in the water.
Doobie, when you're out next time, we will do the queue.
We will. Thank you. As long as I don't have to wait 5 hours to do the queue. So some quick facts on this attraction. It opened May 27th, 2017, as a part of the rest of Avatar Land, or what's that officially called? Pandora World of Avatar?
Pandora World of Avatar.
Thank you, boys. It's themed, of course, to the #1 grossing movie of all time, Avatar, by James Cameron.
At that point.
What's it been?
Was it Endgame or Infinity War that surpassed it?
Infinity War.
In the U.S.? In the U.S.?
I think it's worldwide.
Worldwide. Hang on, I'm bringing up the numbers.
Completely unimportant, but I thought it was still #1, either worldwide or U.S. I'm not sure which one. And whichever one is still #1 is the one I was referring to. So not important, but I could be wrong.
We're digging deep.
Okay, I'm not bringing up the numbers. My computer doesn't like me right now.
Endgame is #1. Man, it's okay. Which was then, at that point, #1 movie of all time, since being passed by Avatar, in the U.S. also being passed by Force Awakens. So how old am I?
Well, you told us this a couple of months ago. You're
4.5 minutes long. Height restriction of 44 inches, certain dimensional restrictions as well that we've already referred to, and located at exactly 28.354 north by 81.592 in west. So thank you, Wikipedia, for that information. Yes. We had a good question in the comments. By the way, we are live. We could make a much better show if we weren't live, and we could edit and plan and stuff. But because we're live, and so the upshot of that is you guys can participate. So we had a good question here from one Jeff Schenkel. Great cartoon. How dependent on knowing the movie is it to enjoy this attraction? What do you guys think?
I don't really.
No. The whole folklore, if anybody wants to correct me on this, I'm pretty sure is like 80 years after the movie or something like that. It's definitely further along in the timeline. And it's just basically talking about how you are syncing or connecting with one of the Na'vi who's doing the flight. Jeremiah?
I was letting you go with that.
Okay. Terminology might be wrong, but
it is set. I don't remember. There is like they give a definition of the timeline from the first film to this. The Ace.
Alpha Centauri expeditions.
Thank you.
He was going to get there. He was going to get there. I had faith in him.
Sorry, I should have let him.
So you are being connected. Yes, thank you. You're being connected to an avatar that is away from you because Pandora, the only actual Na'vi that you see is the shaman on the boat ride that is actually built underneath Flight of Passage. That is one complete building. Both those attractions are in. So it connects you. It's the old Avatar program that they're refiring up so you can have the experience of flying on the back of a Banshee and yelling, Sivako!
Sivako!
We had lost Tony for a moment there. I'm glad he came back. I don't know who that other guy was. So Joe Rohde, of course, is responsible for Avatar Land and Flight of Passage. He's the famous Imagineer for Animal Kingdom, and I know you guys all know him apparently even better than I thought. So what has he said about this attraction that you might be able to convey to our audience to get some further, deeper on Flight of Passage?
Shelley?
I think the thing that I always take away from when Joe Rohde talks about Pandora is that it really calls back to the parks really focus on reducing, reusing, recycling, all that kind of stuff, and on the environment, because the Pandora that you are visiting, again, we talked about it, it's 80 years, or however long it is after the first movie, and the land has started to retake and reform after all of the things that transpired, all the mining, all the awful things that were happening. And you can actually see in the land, if you pay close enough attention, you can see parts where the planet is starting to grow over a lot of the things that were left behind. What is it? The helicopter-y thing? What are they called? You can even see that, like everything is everything is growing around, and where the story really comes to play about it being after the first movie and the Ace people are coming in is that they're really ambassadors to kind of bridge the gap between the Na'vi and you, and they talk about things that, well, originally when the land first opened, they would talk ad nauseum about the things that they've done to help, the planet, and the land, heal from all the things that had happened. So a lot of what Joe talks about is how that theming works so well with the park's mission. And that was super important to him every time I've ever talked to him about it.
Yeah, one of the things, I've been lucky enough to actually have conversations with Joe about the attraction and the land. One of the things, and I don't think I don't know what you guys are laughing at. I was laughing at you. I completely lost my train of thought. Anyone? Okay, fine. One of the things that was when he was first told that the project was going for the Pandora expansion was actually the day that Aulani opened in Hawaii. So he went from a very heavily themed to fit the islands to something that he needed to he didn't say it in so many words, but shoehorn into his pride and joy. And he said this, and this isn't one of the secrets, that he wasn't sold on the idea when it first hit him, but then after he did research, he found that it does tie into the environment. And when you go through and watch the pre-show, as bad as it is, it does talk about how animals. There's a whole thing about this. Talk about how the animals and the species on the planet are dependent on each other, and it has a great depth to it, even though it doesn't quite come across. I wrote it
when they mentioned that part. I was like, okay, I'm on board.
The keystone species.
Yeah.
I wrote it with somebody who studied animals and lived in Africa and studied that lifestyle. And that was one of the things that came across. Like, yeah, the pre-show video is hard to watch, but the facts that they talk about the keystone species and how the different animals, without the different animals, we wouldn't be on this planet. If it were not for the bugs eating the dung, we'd be knee high.
So since we're in the queue, apparently, I'm so stupid, I've never even done the queue, but apparently there's a very famous line in the queue.
Yep.
Tony, this feels like it's right up your alley. You're so cynical. You want to talk about this?
I saw it, and it reminded me of the old Test Track pre-show where it's supposed to be like, hey, we're in the other room live talking to you. That whole shtick. But he is just so up here, like on the webcam kind of thing. And every other word, more than Jeremiah or me even, is and I'm like, I can't tell. Is this actually live? Like, is this a cast member on the other side of the wall? Is that what took so long? Move around a bit.
That actor is David Danapur, and he
he's in Westworld or something like that. Also, is that right?
You brought it up. You should know.
I remember he did a Reddit AMA recently.
That's where I'm going with this.
He got more questions about Avatar than I think he did whatever project he was on, which I'm fairly confident was Westworld.
That's actually where I'm going with this. He was on an AMA and asked me anything on Reddit, and yeah, he was asked specifically about the and he's like, no, it wasn't scripted. That's his own contribution to the thing.
Fantastic. That's perfect. Jeremiah, go to Hollywood.
Well, one of the things about that, if you've been in the pre-show, and the attraction has famously, almost more so than Rise of the Resistance, had troubles each day to the point where the 6-hour waits are not because the ride can take up to 6 hours to get on. It's because it goes down or there's technical difficulties with guests. But if you've been in there, and this was one of the first times I wrote it, I was in there, and then wait a second, let me check on something, and then he disappears, and the video is seamless that can expand or shrink depending on what's going on with the attraction. So the do get very, very annoying, but it is set up pretty well to do a good breakup.
So he said something really interesting. He said the ums and the uhs. He said all the dialogue was ADR'd. It was recorded. Everyone knows what ADR is. We're all Hollywood people. We don't need to. Oh, Gideon doesn't know. Okay, ADR, additional dialogue recording. That means it was recorded later on. They didn't use the audio that was actually recorded at the time. They overdubbed it later on, and he had to match his lips, to be in sync. And they told him that they really wanted him to have more excitement and emphasize the ums and the uhs in the overdubbing. So that's why the excitement you hear doesn't really match the excitement that you see. And so he thinks it gives it kind of an uncanny valley sort of feeling. So I can see why it really sticks in everyone's mind, because it's just, in addition to saying it so much, it's just not quite right. So I don't know. That's really fascinating.
By the time you get to fly, you've already heard about 130 but the fly is the signature. I would say if anybody remembers anything from that attraction, it's that.
So check out his AMA on Reddit, or you can just read our article on it on Laughing Place. Just search David Danapur and get some insight into what makes a memorable pre-show, even if it's not for the right reasons. And yes, he's in Westworld. He's Benny. See what else? I feel like we had another question here, but no, we don't. I did want to show this really quick, since Animal Kingdom is in Osceola County. This is Jeremiah's purview right here. So
there we go. That is everything that is me. So I'm sure Shelley did the same thing. When we first went into the attraction, this was, I believe, the first water fountain that actually had the bottle filler. And
at least in Florida.
Yeah, we were all just complete nerds about it. Like, I'm pretty sure every single site had 10 pictures of how exciting this was. So yes, it is the water fountain. This is right when you enter into the actual. So when you're outside, you're in the Valley of Noir. No.
Moara.
Moara. Thank you. I don't know. It's a noir film. So you wind your way up, and when you go inside, you go into the. Wow! If only I did some prep for this. The people that destroyed half of Pandora back in the film, they dug up where you're going into, which is now the Alpha Centauri expedition, where they connect you to your avatar. Avatar seems to pop up a lot. So that's as soon as you go into the building that is dug, and you can see the walls, how they've been dug out. If Doobie has that photo.
It's coming. It's coming. That's
Nope.
not it.
That's later.
Keep talking.
So when you walk in, hey, there's what Shelley was talking about. This is the cross between the rainforest and the planet taking over the Q. That is when you're still. This is the wall paintings are all Na'vi, and in this area you'll actually see Na'vi handprints, which is kind of like their signal of passing things on, and then you'll start to see some human handprints in that area. This is actually at the exit of one of the 4 domes. So if we're going to jump into the technical part, Flight of Passage has 4 different domes. Each of those has, okay, now we're back in Indiana Jones.
I was going to say, that's Indiana Jones.
No, that is actually the queue.
Okay.
This is the Na'vi part. So you wind through the Na'vi part, and then you go into the RDR.
Get back to the
attraction.
Do the technical.
RDA.
Thank you. See, good job, Tony. You're now the dig a little deeper Florida correspondent. Shelley and I are out of here. Shelley's mom is sad because we aren't talking enough.
My mom has never had a problem with me being quiet, like ever.
Okay, so you go through, you see the different transition from the Na'vi to the human destroying the planet. And then after you go through the horrible pre-show, that's the vehicle you climb on. And it connects you, a little screen down there, you stare down into it, and it connects you to your avatar, which is on the back of a Banshee many, many miles away on the planet.
In one of the
and then
best
you go for a ride.
Disney parks, I think.
The one the one slide that Doobie did show with the 3 different handprints, that is I almost said John Landis. John Landau, James Cameron, and Joe Rohde. Those were the 3 people that were behind this attraction and what did become Flight of Passage, and that's their signatures by putting their handprint on there and their initials.
Now, can I add about what you just said? What became Flight of Passage? Go on.
What?
Like the way you said that implied it was going to be something different, and then you said
no.
Flight of Passage.
No, I apologize.
Okay.
What I was saying there. So when you go into the queue of the actual, before you get on the attraction, there are 4 different domes, and the domes, if you've been on Back to the Future or any of the motion simulators or Soarin' around wherever, that's the same type of thing. Though the digital projection in this is one of the highest quality projections that has been in existence in a theme park. At least it was the year after it opened. I know they upgraded it. And then, so there's 3 levels, 4 different domes. So if all 4 domes are going at the same time, that building is rocking.
One thing, one of our a member of our in-studio audience said was, in the queue, apparently there's like science experiments that are actually simple experiments, but they're really actually Can you guys talk about that a little bit? Because I don't even know what they're talking about.
I kind of brought that up a little bit. There's a lab. I'm pointing at the screen like you can see where I'm pointing. That little center area has all kinds of, it's supposed to be like alien stuff, but it's if you get into like the physics of it, or I know a lot of it because a friend of mine said they did it in high school, and I want to know what public school they went to, where they were playing with like sound waves and these magnetic experience. But it looks like if you took like old iron shavings and took magnets underneath it, and it's just programmed, but you just see like this metal shifting around, and it just looks really cool. It looks otherworldly.
The test that they're doing is on the element that the RDA is trying to strip from Pandora in the film, whatever makes the islands in the sky.
All right, look, Jeremiah, let's let people talking from here on out, all right?
Islands in the sky.
That is what. Wait, is it Islands in the Stream? Oh.
Silence in the stream.
Silence in the Stream.
Didn't he die this year? Was that last year? Or was that like 10 years ago? And I'm just stupid.
This year.
This year, Islands in the Stream. That is what we. Okay. So I've heard a lot of people say that this ride literally made them cry. Can any of you say that? Onward, Jeremiah, did it make you cry?
No.
The first time I experienced it, I definitely got a little teary-eyed because there are a couple of moments in there where it is the wow factor is turned up to 11. When you do that nosedive on the Banshee, that's really cool.
So it didn't cry from emotion as much as wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not like you get attached to somebody who dies halfway through the ride, and it's like this upsetting, depressing moment. No, it's definitely.
What I've heard is people cry from the beauty of it, that they've created this beautiful world and taken you into it. So they're not crying at, oh, wow, look at what WDI can do. It's, I am visiting this incredibly beautiful world. And sometimes when you see beauty, you cry. In your case, it's because they don't like you back, Tony, but you know what I mean.
Well, I was going to comment. No, I'm not going to. All right. Success. You win. I'm gone. Goodbye. No, like I said earlier, it's kind of like if you took everything you knew about Soarin and kind of jumped on it and made it more of a thrill ride. It also takes that technologically up a step too, because in Soarin, you could see the top of the screen. You could see the sides of the screen. And when you are, that's true.
It's true.
The dome wraps around. So when you're on the console, whatever you want to call it, and pitching forward, back and forth, you can't see a seam like you're flying. Thanks, Gideon.
Wow.
I didn't cry myself, but the part that where you swoop down and you go like through the wave as it's cresting, I did think, okay, this is pretty cool.
Shelley, surely you cried.
I did not cry.
It's Shelley Karen, not Shelley Sure.
I didn't cry. I was really bummed that it was over though. Like, because like you know how it like you zoom back to reality, and I'm like, I'm so bummed that this is over because it was so much fun. Like it's just a fun ride. Like I don't think it's like, you know, the be all end all by Jeremiah. I don't think it's the be all end all, but like I do think that for what it is, it's incredibly entertaining. I wooed a couple times. Like it's fun.
The smells, like oof.
Oh,
I don't know what that
you were right the first time.
Like a pina colada somewhere in there. That's just amazing.
It smells so good.
Really, I've not heard the smell thing before, but apparently that's a big thing that it smells great.
Yeah, and it's again like the screen. It's seamless. Like it hits you at the right time. There's a lot of water effects, but they hit at the right time. So I don't know. It's just it's a good ride, but
I think one of my most favorite moments on Flight of Passage is I was writing it, and it was myself and another reporter from WFTV, and we're sitting there. We've got like tons of like handlers around us, and we come into the cave and we stop, and I was like, "Whoa! Feel your legs," because you can feel the Ikron breathing like between your legs. You're just like, I was like, feel between your legs, and I was like, oh god, because you can feel it.
I've heard that. Did you guys experience that too? I mean, that was one of the. There's always something, you know, like a 747 or stuff like that. And with Pandora, it was that you can feel the thing breathing. Did you guys all experience that?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a bladder in between your legs that expands, and when it's flying, it actually feels like I'm doing the flying motion. It does actually give you that feel. One of the things, I don't know if either one of you have ever felt that, but when you're being transported or your mind is being transported to the avatar that's on the back of the Ecron, as they call it. Thanks, Shelley. They have, this could be the first and only time I ever say these words on this. They have magic fingers on your stomach. And for the media event, we were able to ride it a few times. And I don't get it sick on any attraction. I'll do any coaster in the world, anything. But after the third time of feeling those, like, it kind of feels like somebody's playing taps on your stomach because it's that intense. And I still to this day get a joke from my media rep about that. Gideon.
I have something to say.
Gideon's going to talk about his experience, his one and only time riding.
I'm going to say, right now, do you want to see the whole story or just the first part?
We'll start with the first part.
Okay. So I was sitting there. I was a little scared because I wasn't sure. I knew I liked Soarin'. I was expecting to get scared of this ride, but then conquer it and love it. But then I get locked in and just nothing happens. It's vibrating. And I do begin to feel sick. It was not pleasant.
So did you end up loving it?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Next time you're out, we'll go on it again.
Okay.
You ready to do it again?
You're the best.
Yeah, maybe not.
The best.
I hope when I'm ready to ride it, he'll ride it with me. That's my hope. Speaking of, speak, Shelley. Go ahead.
I was going to say, it's a lot of sensory overload. It's a lot of sensory overload on the ride because you've got things going everywhere. Your mind is everywhere. You get things flying, you get things breathing, and it's a lot to take in.
Well, I think was it the Imagineering story where Joe was talking about how they did it in like 6, not quadrants because there's 6 of them, but different, like wherever your eye may wander.
Mm-hmm.
And you could see, they put different things in each one. So there's always something new that you'll notice as you go on the ride.
Thanks, Tony. I was going to say something.
I'm just saying, you got, like she said, everything's going on. So there's all this stuff.
There was no sarcasm there.
Clearly.
Tony is always a sarcastic comment.
Next topic.
I was going to say something and I forgot, and I was thanking you. Sorry, now Jeremiah's asking for a picture and I don't have it ready.
One of the things that, Tony, like you were saying, how there's different things to see. One of the times I got to speak with Joe, I asked him what his favorite part of the attraction is. And it's at the end when your Ecron is perched and you're looking at the sunset. And if you look straight down, there's a little, yes, you make it out alive. There is a little monkey type creature. It's the one that has multiple arms. And he has a bird that he's stripping off the feathers from. And he looks up at you like this, kind of shakes you off, and then goes back and just starts eating the monkey or eating the bird.
Have you seen that?
Yeah, that was
Where's
one of the first things I saw. As soon as you stop at the last part,
like in the
you look down.
Okay.
You look straight down. It is right in front of you, kind of to the right.
Okay, I'll look for it next time.
Well, you know.
I'm usually watching the spoiler sunset.
Maybe at some point we could actually go to a park together, Tony.
Yeah, that'd be great.
I watched a POV just before.
Wait a minute. I like that idea.
There it is. Yeah, I mean, this is without the movement, without the smells, without the feelies, and yet there is a lot going on. It's hard to just watch the POV even, because sensory overload is the perfect word for it. Jeremiah, you gave me a picture. I don't know why.
So, one of the most exciting things about Pandora Flight of Passage, Avatar Flight of Passage, sorry, is I want to say it's the first attraction that has ever had a bathroom built halfway through it. Early on, when the lines were 6 hours, they used to give you a little card that says, there is no bathroom. So if you need to go now. You can't rejoin your party, nothing. And then I want to say it's been about a year or so. They actually built those bathrooms in the queue. So how cool is it that, the demand to go, they had to build a bathroom?
Doesn't Indiana Jones have a bathroom in the queue?
No.
Not for guests.
I don't know that you're right about that. Oh,
I know I'm right about Tiki Root having a bathroom in its pre-show.
That's for sure.
Rumor has it, though, one of the floating mountains outside, the one with the waterfall pouring down, has a bathroom in it.
Is that where the waterfall comes from?
I hope not.
It's where this.
One of the coolest things, by the way, about those waterfalls is they're not all actual waterfalls. Some of them are.
Yep.
And
just an effect, yeah.
It's so hard to tell when you're looking from it. And we spent a long time from the ground last time just trying to figure out which ones were real and which ones weren't.
I know, because when you're in the first part of the queue outside and you have all the waterfall coming down, the very top far one I know is.
I'm sorry, I'm still in this Indiana Jones restroom thing.
I'm like, there's no restroom in the
I've never heard that.
I've already been wrong once today. There will not be a twice.
He will go and build a restroom while the park is closed. For that reason, he's going to take a bucket and put it right there next to the
Indiana Jones.
Really don't pull the rope now.
This is from DisneyTouristBlog.com. Indiana Jones Adventure takes the cake for having the most little secrets scattered throughout it. One of our favorites is the secret restroom in the queue. This was built out of necessity. Yada 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 yada. Doesn't tell me anything more about it, but it's there. All right.
What's the source on that?
Yeah, as somebody who's been on that ride more times than I can count, like if they tell me where the restroom is, I will go and find it next time I'm there.
It's at the end of the queue. See, I'm seeing it multiple places, and I've heard about this forever.
You're seeing multiple bathrooms in the queue?
No. Shut up. I'm seeing it in multiple sources, you dorkhead. And I've known about this. It is there. Tribute to Disneyland's secret restroom. All over the place, so just accept it. You may all.
There's more than one secret restroom at Disneyland.
Well, yeah, like Tiki Room's a secret restroom.
Yeah,
that's a secret.
Really secret though, yeah.
No one knows about the Tiki Room restroom.
Those are my favorite restrooms.
Well, it's always nice. It's clean.
Oh, wait, where at the end of the queue is this secret bathroom? Like,
trust me.
Why is it we can't bring up a photo of this?
Concept art.
You want a photo of it?
Theming.
Yeah. Is the Hidden Mickey Life magazine available for reading in said secret restroom?
As a matter of fact. They don't want you in there. I found a picture of it. I think I found a picture of it. Here is the secret restroom.
Oh, yeah, that's it.
At Indiana Jones.
Seems legit to me.
No, but there is one. Okay, we're not going to waste any more time on this. These people have valuable time that are watching us.
They don't.
If you went to potty in Indiana Jones, you chose poorly. You know what needed a secret restroom was Ellen's Energy Adventure.
I feel like that would have been advertised. It would have been that secret because they kept telling me for 37 minutes there is not a restroom. For 37 minutes there is not a restroom. And again, for 37 minutes, there is not a restroom.
Is that one of your pet peeves, Tony?
It's on the bottom of my foot. And I'm not that flexible, but it's right there. In 37 minutes, there is not a restroom. Circle C Disney.
Wow. All right. So Jeffrey says, Geo, #1 trivia player, beat Tony, which always makes me happy. Best ride ever for me at the moment. Every time I pick on Tony, Gideon gets mad. Tony, you have such a
Gideon
year. Only because I haven't ridden Rise or Mickey yet. So where would you guys actually rank this attraction among all Disney attractions you've experienced? Which I know for you, Jeremiah, is just vast. Because if I'm not mistaken, you've been to the international parks.
Charlie?
No, I think I've heard about it once or twice.
Okay, thank you. Waiting for that. Thanks.
You're welcome.
In the Disney World, not Disney World, Disney World, it is
That means the
probably
international park he's been to.
probably in the top 5. I mean, I still think Rise is up there as number 1 worldwide. Tony, can you just turn off your camera and your audio right now so we can have a discussion? Rise, Tower of the Terror.
Tower of the Terror, yes.
Mystic Manor, Pirates in Shanghai, and then probably Flight of Passage.
Really, that good?
Yeah.
Shelly?
I would say like 5 or 6 for me.
Not good too. But you haven't experienced quite the breadth of attractions as the one and only Jeremiah, right?
No. I bow down to his world traveling. I've only done Disneyland and Walt Disney World, so I only get to live through his tales.
I don't have a tail. Oh, that's a whole other joke.
That's a whole
Tony and I should. We're gonna end this right now. Yeah, you don't want to talk about tails.
Tony.
Yes.
Among the 14 Disney attractions you've experienced, where would you put Flight of Passage?
I can never, ever, ever say anything screen-based is the best thing ever. Sorry.
I'm so surprised.
I wouldn't even put it in the top 5 for Walt Disney World, to be honest.
You would not even put it in the top 5 for Disney World?
I would actually, if you took out the queue experience and everything like that for Rise, I would put Rise above Flight of Passage.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
If you took the 4.5-minute portion of Rise, even the ITS pre-show, and like called that one thing without the hassle, I would say Rise is better than Flight. Flight's cool, but it's not like the upper echelon for me because it's just at its roots a bench and a screen, just rocking back and forth.
You know, at its roots, Pirates is just a boat.
Did I say Pirates was number 1?
What is your number 1? Because I'm sure we can get to the root of that.
I would actually, for Florida, I would probably say number 1 of all time is Indy, has a bathroom in it. Who knew?
Tony, do you have to go to the bathroom because you're walking a lot?
No, I'm doing my impression of Flight of Passage.
Is that what you're doing?
I'm also on a rolling chair that's not on carpet for once. So,
what is your number 1?
In Florida, it's Tower of Terror.
You know, at its root, it's just an elevator.
At its root, it's a great movie ride vehicle that moves through an elevator shaft. Yes.
So we have more information on this restroom. My internet research of 60 seconds suggests there is a restroom in the Indy queue, but it is an emergency-only super secret restroom that must be opened by a CM. That does not take away from the fact there is a restroom at Indy.
Correct.
I am going to go and demand to potty in this restroom.
You're potty, you can go if you want to. So, Tony, you don't even have it in your top 5 at Disney World, but you are very impressed by it.
I think it's a cool attraction and everybody should do it, but I wouldn't put it at the top 5 ever at Disney World.
Would you put it above Soarin?
Over the world or over California?
Oh my goodness.
Can we just mute him and turn him off for the...
This is what Jeremiah wanted. He wanted this.
Rank the 3 of them, Tony. Rank the 3 of them.
I would do Soarin' over California, Flight of Passage, Soarin' over the world.
I probably would actually agree with you, although I've never done Flight of Passage. I suspect I would agree with you.
Have you done Over the World?
Over the World is a little...
Around.
It's good around the world. It's really good, but just too much CGI. I think
Really good.
I'm going to dig a little deeper, another episode that I probably won't be invited back to, but Over the World loses me because of the transitions.
Yeah, the transitions are a lot.
Yep.
But that was one of my biggest complaints about Soarin' over California was there are no transitions. Soarin' over the World at least has transitions.
When I've seen the 2, I would take without. I agree with you, Jeremiah, that there should have been something, but these ones are like the elephant in the dust, the plane, the balloon. It's hokey.
It's all the damn CGI.
Yeah.
See, I mean, I'm sure the original has CGI too, but if you can't tell, it's not CGI.
I think the only CGI in the original is the hang glider.
In the golf ball, I don't think they really had a Mickey golf ball shooting at you.
Can I tell my favorite story of probably any event that I've ever gone to?
No. Go ahead, Jeremiah. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
When they had the media event for Soarin' Over the World, they had, what's the Imagineer's name, Shelley?
Oh gosh.
They always do the two of them
Jason Grant?
I think it was either Jason Grant or the other one.
It was Jason Grant. If you're talking about the one that he was near Fountain of Nations with the plane behind him, yes, Jason Grant.
So Jason Grant is out there, and I walk up and I'm talking to him. We're doing a normal interview, and the handlers are all around me, and I'm trying every way possible to be polite and not break the Disney talk. And finally, it just got to the point where I'm like, okay, I turn everything off, and I go, okay, is the Taj Mahal real? And his response to me, there's a real Taj Mahal in India. And then the handlers took me away.
I've never seen them whisk someone away so quickly. It was like poof. There they're gone.
I thought that was public knowledge that though. I mean, they've stopped trying to hide that, right?
I mean, you could tell even the people walking around it. We'll use that uncanny valley term.
They still do not say that it is CGI, but yeah. And this was like the second time that I'd ever ridden it, so it wasn't. Yes, we knew the elephants were fake and the killer whale that they trained to jump at the perfect time. But the Taj Mahal, you don't see those colors on the Taj Mahal in any picture. And also you don't see, 12 people walking. But I wanted to ask that specifically. And they're like, yes, there's a Taj Mahal in India.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so glad I let you tell that story.
No, you're quite welcome.
Did they say anything about the rafters in Fiji?
That actually was a good story.
No,
it was really funny to watch.
So, what was our topic again today? I'm having trouble remembering. Oh, that's right.
Casey Jr.
Do you have a favorite part of Flight of Passage, or alternatively, a disfavorite part, an unfavorite part, whatever that word would be?
I think we can all just say the cue.
Alternatively, something that you feel like just that part was nice, but should have been just a little bit better, and that would have made all the difference in the world. Go.
Can I do both?
You can do all three if you want to. Why don't you start, Tony? Set the tone.
My favorite part is actually the one thing I would do a little differently when they have a Sigourney Weaver come out, who is not Sigourney Weaver. I don't know if you've seen that part of the pre-show, but it's later on, so you can't have Sigourney Weaver. But it's definitely the Target brand, Greenwise, Sigourney Weaver coming out. Shelley, you okay? It wasn't even that good of a joke.
I called her Sigourney Weaver.
I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Okay. Bye, Jeremiah.
You need some
so I was like, okay, we can get Sigourney Weaver. That it all made sense. And I was like, okay, that's a nice detail. And then I found out that actress is the same voice of the computer on Mission Space.
Yes.
And I was like, whoa. So now that's one thing I oddly look forward to going into seeing is the voice of the Mission Space computer.
Juby, the female in the queue, the scientist that talks about how you connect and everything, that's what they're referring to.
Not actually Sigourney Weaver?
No, it's not. It's just a female that is a strong
it's the voice
female.
of the Mission Space flight computer doing her role as Sigourney Weaver.
That's very funny. And that alone might get you back on the show, Tony. That one line. By the way, here is Sigourney Weaver not experiencing Flight of Passage with James Cameron. But I suspect she did.
Really? That's a horrible picture of her.
One thing I would do differently about that ride, and Jeremiah, you worked in a park before too. Whoever thought to put both attractions in the same building, like I'm sure on paper that made sense, but from an operational standpoint, when a fire alarm goes off, and you have to evacuate a whole building, not the smartest decision.
Yeah.
And I would, in fact, make Navi River Journey or whatever it's called the pre-show to Flight of Passage, and then that's what I would do differently.
Look!
Good job, Jeffrey.
That's a fantastic
I agree.
idea.
Jeffrey, I would not be proud that I agree with Tony on this one. How about you, Shelley? My 3 questions. Take your pick.
I think my favorite part is when you go inside of the mountain and the wisps all light up and the bioluminescence kind of take over, because it's like you get a break to process everything, but at the same time, it's like there's so much going on. You're just like, whoa. I think the thing that they could have done a little bit better is I feel like I wish there was a little bit more explanation about just the land, and we get drilled into our head at all of these press events, and it's our job to help disseminate that information, but giving a little bit of backstory throughout the queue. There are places now that there's not a lot of people in line that you are able to really stop and really read the plaques and look at things and take it all in, but I wish it was a little bit more easily understandable and digestible as you're kind of going through.
That is an excellent answer, Shelley. Take note.
Well, the digestible part is why they added the bathroom.
Jeremiah, do you care to earn your position back?
I actually agree with Shelley. My favorite part of the attraction is you fly into the cave and it's dark, and you probably saw it on the POV that you watched, Doobie. Just that scene is like the zen moment of the entire attraction. Wow. It's just beautiful. And then it kind of comes to life. And I think it was the 3rd or 4th time before I actually saw the other Na'vi on the Banshee flying away. And it's just the peaceful moment that makes up for the diving and missing rocks and going after the big killer bird.
Yeah, I was watching the POV, and you're like, and then it just kind of stops. I mean, it really feels like a break. I'm glad it comes across well, because to me, in the POV, it just came across as like the ride decided just to take a break.
Breathing we were talking about earlier is probably most noticeable.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's just a silent, beautiful moment. If I had to choose one thing to change, I would probably not have built the attraction.
One little thing.
It is a monster of an attraction. As somebody that worked in a domed attraction, I worked at Back to the Future at Universal Studios Hollywood, and I know how difficult that is. Even with the changes from when we used to have IMAX film to this digital projector, if something goes wrong, and I've experienced on the attraction where the 3D is off in one of the quadrants, so you're looking and you're like, 3D, whoa, I'm going to get sick. No, there isn't. But I do love the attraction. I have waited, I think my longest was 3 hours for it, but I do love it even more so now that it is less crowded and we can make it on there if we can get the park pass reservation.
And earlier this year, 2 years after it opened, before everything changed, Rise, of course, has the virtual queue, but it still consistently had the longest queue in the park, even more. I'm sure its capacity doesn't compare to Millennium Falcon, but even longer than Millennium Falcon. And other attractions. So it has remained very popular, even though the movie isn't #1 anymore, apparently, according to some websites. So anything else that anybody would like to say about Flight of Passage before we spin the wheel and see what we're going to be doing next week?
Tony?
Not really.
What's that behind you, Tony? Can you talk about what's behind you there?
This is they did a couple of art pieces for Pandora. They gave them out at D23 at the oh my gosh, what was it called?
WDI.
But Yeah, it's kind of like an offshoot of an attraction poster, but it's basically like a travel poster for Alpha Centauri expeditions. There were 4 of them. I just decided to hang up this one because it's the flight one. There's one for the river journey and others with the floating mountains and everything like that. I just wish, and I kind of knew this was going to happen too, with that whole land. I was involved with a company at the time that was participating in the development of that land. And we had to take what they called Passage to Pandora class, and we learned all like the different creature names and phrases in language, Calte. I actually have a story about the I see you phrase that I can't think of how to say it right now. Jeremiah, I think I told you that story before.
Yes.
Okay. But I knew this was going to happen, and I wish that they kept to that. The cast members there kind of are now like, oh yeah, I'm on my CP at Flight of Passage. It's great. But like the people who first got there had to go through that class, and they lived it, and they came up with like a whole backstory for themselves. And it was kind of like a test run for what became Galaxy's Edge training. But Galaxy's Edge has kept it up. Pandora doesn't appear to have.
Has Harry Potter kept it up? Potterville?
Yes. Yeah.
Any other words from Shelley or Jeremiah before we close out here?
Shelley?
It's lots of fun. I mean, if you're willing to go to the parks now and you can get that park pass reservation, it is a fantastic time to go because you can really spend your time taking in the little details of the queue, which in my opinion makes this such a great attraction. And, it's just a fun attraction.
Is it fun, Shelley? I can't remember.
It's
Is it?
Is it
That's how you describe it. It's fun.
It's fun.
What other word would you use to describe it, though, Shelley?
How's the queue?
Swell.
Wow.
There you go.
Swell. The queue is swell. The attraction is fun.
How about you?
Definitive review.
I really like. To me, that entire land. Yes, we didn't even get into the Beastly Kingdom and all the stories that we could have done. We could have made this a Jim Hill episode.
It was
very easily.
Very painful for me to restrain myself.
But it is one of the attractions that Disney's Animal Kingdom has needed to bring it, onto the level of Disney's Hollywood Studios now or the other parks. The one thing I was joking, the ride is amazing, but do you have to go to the bathroom?
No, I'm not an Indiana Jones. Why? It's a weird topical question. Why do they have to? Yes, please. I would. But why does it have to be at the same level at Hollywood Studios? Why can't Animal Kingdom be like the charming adventure park?
Oh no, I completely agree. Like I loved Disney's Animal Kingdom. I loved it before Everest was there, just because there was it. It had that intimacy of, Joe built this park. This is where you go to explore. Yeah,
Joe built this.
Disney's Animal Kingdom. Joe built this park.
Joe built it.
It's on your other foot. But really, the one thing about the attraction that does still bug me is it is really a commercial for the next 12 Avatar films. Like we heard early on that the next Avatar film, I think, was going to be based around the water of Pandora. And that's why you swoop through the waves. You see the giant fish come out and try to eat you. And, yes, we all know that Sleeping Beauty Castle was built before the movie came out as a preview. But Avatar, we've all kind of gone like, okay, we're done with this.
A lot of people are like that even after the movie.
Yeah.
Were you there when John Landau came into the Satuli Canteen and just started talking to everybody and all the handlers like freaked out about it?
No.
So
did he come in as that travel guide character?
No,
I completely forgot.
Having the press, they had the press all in the Satuli Canteen, trying our pods and whatever. And John Landau just waltz in. He goes, "You want to talk about this? Let's talk." And everybody just goes whoosh. And like half of the media had left, and then some were behind because we were on a schedule. And he really started talking about how this land is a living testament to how this story continues, how there are Easter eggs in both attractions and in the land itself that help kind of set up the next few movies. And by the way, you know, these are things that are going to be in, and it was just, and you could just see everybody around him like freaking out because nobody knew where he was going or how much he was going to spill. But it was really interesting that you say that because it really does serve as just a giant commercial for the next ones to come.
Well, he was out here for months. Like, he lived out here during the construction and the opening, and even in the weeks following the opening, he would be seen walking around the park.
Oh yeah, he was there. He was in it.
You can tell Doobie is looking at something to try to find a request.
Failing,
yeah,
thank you.
Like you said, John Lando was out here a lot, and I remember at it was the D23 where these came into play. He came out as the ace president, like beckoning you.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
And I cannot remember his name for the life of me right now.
I think I'm still friends with him on Facebook.
I know a lot of people who were on the Pandora opening team, and that he kept popping up, and my people you might know, and I was like, no, I'm good.
Yeah.
I can't find it. I'm sorry, Tony. Great request. Okay. Great request. All right. I think that's all we know. No, that's not true. That's all we're talking about today in terms of Flight of Passage. I would love to do a part 2 where we talk about Avatar Land in general and how much superior it is to the Beastly Kingdom that was originally envisioned, but we will save that for another day.
Nope.
You guys might disagree. We do have a very important comment here. Jeremiah's shirt is making me crave a Dr. Pepper. That's pretty funny. Like to remind you before we spin the wheel, you don't want to leave yet because we spin the wheel now to figure out what we're going to talk about next week. But before we do that, I just want to remind you that tomorrow we've got 4 big things coming up on video. The Phineas and Ferb movie review will debut at 9. And then at 1 o'clock, Jeremiah is going to be at the Yacht Club. Is that correct, Jeremiah?
Correct.
Doing a park walk and talk. Even though he's at a hotel, we still call it a park walk and talk. And then at 4
part of the bubble? Obviously not then.
What?
I said that's not part of the bubble anymore?
No.
Okay.
They reopened it tomorrow.
Okay. Fantastic. It was one of the NBA hotels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Since the playoffs have started, some teams are gone. The bubble has contracted. Eventually, it'll just be like one wing of Pop Century. At 4 p.m., these are all Pacific time, Disney Parks update. That'll be with some of these people, maybe all of these people. Who knows? And then
back, so some of them. I said I won't be invited back, so some of them.
Tony, you will be invited back someday. And then at 7:30 p.m., the LP Movie Club will be talking about the one and only Ivan, which is now available on Disney Plus. So nice full day of video tomorrow. But now it's time to find out what we might be talking about next week. I say might because we always can veto, but we've yet to veto. So here's Gideon, the wheel.
Is there any specific ride you're hoping for?
Great movie ride.
That's on here, so let's hope. And we have Rise of the Resistance.
Yes, Tony will be back next week.
Oh no.
Rise of the Resistance.
Already that says angry, cynical old man, dude.
So be sure to tune in next Sunday at 4 p.m. as we do a Dig a Little Deeper Rise of Resistance. We also have a special edition of Dig on Tuesday looking at an extinct attraction. I'm not sure what it'll be yet, but it'll be there. I'll be there. Cole will be there. Who knows who else will be there? Probably not Tony, but I would like he's not a regular member of the team. I mean, you know, we have a thing going here. We have a thing. But I would like to get him on the rise talk next week.
I would also like to say I've done the last 2 extinct ones with Cole, for the record.
Oh, that's right, you have. So you might be there Tuesday. Anyway,
if you want me there for Rise, that's on you.
Thanks for joining us. Thanks, Tony, for filling in. Thanks, Shelly. And thanks, Jeremiah. All right. Bye, everybody. Make sure you wave.